We've talked about it all offseason. We've heard the quotes, we've watched the rotations, and now it's finally time to confront the reality of the Chargers center situation. The so-called competition is over. And let's just say, the way it unfolded, it deserves a real conversation. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel's all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. Jim Harbaugh, in his presser yesterday, basically confirmed everything we've been predicting since February. Bradley Bozeman is going to be the starting center. Zion Johnson is going to be the left guard. That's the combination they believe is part of their best five on the offensive line, and that's how they're moving forward. All that competitors welcome talk, yeah, that was cute, but let's be honest, the so-called Zion Johnson center experiment amounted to 3 padded practices and a grand total of 12 preseason snaps. That's it. That's the extent of this highly talked about competition. Now they're saying he might take more reps Sunday. Come on, let's call it what it is. The decision was made long ago, and here we are, right where we all expected to be. Bradley Bozeman projected at center, Zion Johnson at left guard. Nothing surprising there. Let's go all the way back to February. I said it then. I didn't buy it. It felt like a media story more than a real plan. A storyline to get people talking, to keep things open-ended in the press. I said on the show, I don't think this is real. I'm not buying it. Because if it was legit, if the Chargers truly wanted to give Zion a real shot at being the starting center, you know what they would have done? They would have had him taking first-team center reps in OTAs, in minicamp, and throughout camp. But they didn't. They never did. And what makes it more frustrating is we spent the entire lead up to free agency telling you this would happen. We laid it all out. Bozeman would be back, Andre James would be signed, Zion would stay at guard. It wasn't a complicated puzzle. And back in May, I literally went on a 10-minute segment laying out 10 different reasons, financial, film-based, health, analytics, why Bradley Bozeman would be the starter. It wasn't just a hunch, it was backed by everything we had. But even though we were right about the outcome, it's the process that bothers me. It's how we got here. Center is a huge position. It's the intellectual core of the offensive line. It's the communication hub. It's the stability piece. And we as Chargers fans know how big of a difference that makes. We've seen what this offense looks like with and without Corey Linsley. We remember Mike Pouncey. We know the damage that can happen when the center spot is in flux. And the Ravens, Joe Hortiz's former team, learned that too. They spent years plugging in guys, trying UDFAs and late-round flyers, and then boom, they take Tyler Linderbaum, and suddenly the line stabilizes. They know what a difference a legit center can make. Last year, the interior of the line didn't work out. Okay, first year of a new regime, you chalk some of that up to growing pains. Fine. But then what did they do this offseason? They re-signed Bozeman, brought in Andre James. Solid, fine. But then they pushed this idea of Zion Johnson playing center as if that was ever going to be real. Zion never took a snap at center last year, not one. So this whole "we think he could be a great center" line, based on what? Hope? A hunch? It was nonsense from the start. It was never truly in motion. And if this was a legitimate plan, he would have been repping there from day one this offseason. But instead, it was 3 padded practices and a dozen snaps. And then we get to the weirdest part. The so-called loser of the center competition becomes the starting left guard. When has that ever happened? Genuinely. I can't think of a time in Chargers history when the loser of a head-to-head battle for one starting spot just got handed another starting spot. That's not a demotion, that's just reshuffling furniture. And somehow we're pretending like that's normal. What was the point? Jamari Sailor dropped weight, reportedly looked good, and he got 1 practice with the ones. Andre James didn't sniff the first team as center. The whole thing just feels like it was locked in from spring, like they had already decided and just went through the motions. It's the same as last year with Trey Pipkins. Trey's our guy, they said from day one. No competition, no depth signings, no serious push from within, and now here we are again. Bozeman's our center, don't worry about it. It's frustrating, it's disappointing, and I think we all expected better under Harbaugh and Hortiz. Now, in fairness, I get why Bozeman and James were the fallback plan. The market was bad. They could have tried to get Ryan Kelly and Will Freeze, but those two wanted to stay together, and the Chargers couldn't afford both. They ended up in Minnesota. So yeah, I get the cap constraints. And I get that this draft class was brutal for centers. Only 2 centers got drafted. The league didn't like the group. Fine. But that brings me to the bigger mistake. Last year. Last year's class was loaded. absolutely loaded at interior OL, and the Chargers didn't take a single one. They could have drafted Cooper Beebe. He went just 4 picks after Junior Colson. Christian Haynes, still there. Dominic Pooney, a starter already. Cedric Van Pran went 1 pick after Cam Hart. My guy Hunter Northside is going to chill in Kansas City for the next 5 years behind Crit Humphrey. There were options, real, starting caliber options, and the Chargers passed on all of them. And now, you've got Zion, Jamari, Pipkins, and Andre James all set to hit free agency in 2026. Bozeman's the only one under contract. So what's the plan? Start 2 rookies next year during a Super Bowl push? That's not happening. As it stands right now, I would bet Bradley Bozeman is your starting center in 2026 too. And I know that hurts to hear, but unless they make a big move or Bozeman suddenly retires, that's where it's headed. And here's the kicker. Even if Bozeman underperforms this year, struggles in pass pro, shows his athletic limitations, the line underwhelms, they brought him back this year knowing all that. So what's going to change? Unless he joins the Saints and sacks Herbert himself, I don't see them moving on, unless something drastic happens. They had to actively re-sign him, and they did, which tells you everything you need to know. It's just messy. No first-round pick next year, no clear succession plan. It feels like there's no preparation for the long term, which is funny because that kind of was the Ravens' MO for a while. Joe Hortiz wasn't in charge of contracts or cap management in Baltimore. He was a scouting guy, draft guy. So I wonder, if you gave him a do-over on this offseason, would he handle it differently? Because for all the praise we've given Harbaugh and Hortiz, and to be clear, I think they've done a great job overall, this is the one blemish, the one area they've completely mismanaged. And it's not a small one. It's the core of the offensive line. And it's wild, too, because this is Jim Harbaugh. The dude loves his interior linemen. Michigan's whole line was just a wall of big guards. They won the Joe Moore Award multiple times. You'd think this will be the easiest position group for him to evaluate and build. But instead, we're in a place where our best-case scenario is hoping Bozeman holds up and Zion finally puts it together. Now, to end on a slightly positive note, I'll say this. I think Mekhi Becton changes the run game. I think he can move people, and I think he takes a step forward in pass pro. But if he goes down, we're back to the same 3 that gave up 16 hits on Herbert in Houston. And that's why this is such a frustrating, maddening situation. It could have been avoided. It could have been solved last year. But now we're just hoping it works out. And I do hope it works out. I root for these guys. I want Bozeman to succeed. I want Zion to thrive. I want this team to win. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope people clip this rant a year from now and roast me for it. That's the best outcome. But right now, this center competition is the biggest miss of the Harbaugh and Hortiz era so far. No question. Not even close. And if the Chargers fall short this season, if they don't hit their ceiling, it's going to be because of this exact group, this process, this oversight, a glaring weakness that was right in front of them, one they chose not to fix.